Welcome to Cocktail Corner. I'm the Gnome, and this is the Gnome's Tavern, and we're doing a very special episode of Cocktail Corner. And we're doing the cocktail that inspired me to make cocktails, and that is the Sazerac Cocktail, one of my favorite cocktails of all time. Now, the Sazerac gets its name from a special family that made a cognac, the Sazerac Del Forge cognac. And we actually have a modern day version of that cognac. So we can make a traditional Sazerac. And more on this is in the cards up below, or I'll put a link down in the description. So that way you can check out our review of this one. This is a really funny episode, one of my favorite episodes that Eli and I did on Tavern on Tap. But before we jump into the cocktail, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And tell me, what was the first cocktail that got you into enjoying cocktails? So back to the story. So the Sazerac family makes a cognac. Long story short, it gets really popular in New Orleans. People in New Orleans love this brandy, and they love the Sazerac name. So a gentleman opens a coffee house, which isn't like your coffee houses today, not like your PJs or your Starbucks. Wow, super New Orleanian. Only New Orleans will get the PJs reference. But it was where the rich got richer. It's where they would go and talk about corn exchange and sugar cane. Now, there's a couple of haziness in the history of the Sazerac. Some people credit it to Mr. Peychaud, but the story goes that Peychaud essentially made the Sazerac by putting his bitters into toddies or slings that were usually drank before the cocktail. But the Sazerac cocktail, or at least things that look like the Sazerac cocktail, a cocktail with brandy, absinthe, sugar, bitters, and lemon, were mentioned when Peychaud, I think, was around 9 years old. So unless he was slinging drinks when he was 9, I highly doubt that he is the father of the cocktail. But we are going to use Mr. Peychaud's bitters, and we're going to make a cocktail like it was back in the day, when it was first used cognac, then rye whiskey. So, how are we going to make this cocktail? Well, I'm going to use sugar cubes instead of simple syrup, because that's more traditionally what they would have used back in the day. And I'm also, like I said, going to use the cognac. Now, the absinthe, some people say, was added after when the cocktail went to rye whiskey, and we'll talk a little bit about that in our next edition of Cocktail Corner, why it switched over there. But there's also some reports that kind of use a little bit of absinthe, so I'm going to use absinthe because I want to make my Sazerac the way I want to make it. So, first things first, we're going to have 2 Sazerac rocks glasses, right? And we're going to fill one with ice. And, alright, get that one all nice and chill. And we're going to let this one figuratively and literally chill over here. Boom. So while that's chilling, we can make our Sazerac cocktail. Alright, so first things first, we're going to grab a sugar cube. Now, the reason I love using sugar cubes is onefold. So sugar cubes don't fully dissolve in the mix when you do this, when you stir it. So that last little bit of Sazerac just has a little hint of sugar that just wakes up the happy part of your brain. And then you start making some more Sazeracs. And Courtney's asking me what I'm doing at 3 a.m. So we're going to then add 3 dashes of Peychaud's bitters, because we want a traditional Sazerac. So let's get my favorite bitters. As you guys know, I almost put Peychaud's in everything. Even sometimes my sparkling water and coffee. So we're going to get a couple of dashes, and I mean like dashes like you're putting on something hot, some hot sauce on something that's outside of New Orleans. And then we take our muddler, and we're going to muddle that sugar. All right. And it's going to make kind of a nice little like sugary almost paste right there. All right. So now, next for our spirit. So we're going to use our expensive Sazerac Del Forge, because we want a traditional Sazerac. I do the authenticity for you guys. Now, usually the recipe at the newly established Sazerac House and Museum in New Orleans, they go for 1.5. But I really like this cognac, so I'm going to put a little extra. So we're going to put about 2 ounces into our mixture. All right. And now we're going to fill that up with ice. Let's get some ice. Oh, man, I love a Sazerac. I've been thinking about this all day, honestly. I'm not even going to lie to you. I had tried to make one for a test to make sure I had my bearings on it, and Courtney stole it and drank it all. So I have not gotten to taste some delicious Sazerac. So now we're gonna give it a nice stir. I know it's super cheesy, but I love this drink so much that every time I stir, I always feel like those old-timey bartenders. Like, think how many people in New Orleans enjoyed a Sazerac and are still enjoying a Sazerac today. This really weird traditional drink. Now, for my friends who've never had a Sazerac, if you really love an old-fashioned, or you really love drinking your spirit straight, then you're definitely going to love a Sazerac. It's very spirit-forward. It's got some similarities to an old-fashioned, as you can see in this step with the sugar and the spirit and the bitters. Like, that's very similar to an old-fashioned. So I think you're going to like this one. All right, that's nice and stirred. And we're going to let that sit over here for a second. And now we're going to prepare our glass. So this should be nice and chilled. Now, one thing that's very weird about a Sazerac that I honestly, I guess not so much funny story, but a bartender I work with, she got apparently chewed out by a New Orleanian because she did this mistake. The thing about a Sazerac is it is in a rocks glass, but it is not served on ice. It's a very weird. You don't put ice in your Sazerac. So we're going to dump that ice on our nice chilled glass. And now we're going to do a rinse of absinthe. You could do a rinse of absinthe, or herb saint is another replacement, which we're going to do in the next video and talk a little bit about the herb saint history. But I'm going to do a rinse of absinthe. And you know what? This is the part where I find people mess up. If you put too much in, it will overpower your Sazerac and it will beat the ingredients. So get yourself a little atomizer, and instead of letting it touch everything and wasting booze, never waste booze, that's what makes a gnome cry. Get yourself a little atomizer, and then you give it a couple sprays. Boom. Boom. Amazing. Look, no wasted booze. So now, let's get our Sazerac. Our glass is nice and chilled. It's nice and rinsed. We'll get our julep strainer, and let's pour that beauty. Oh, such a beautiful drink. Now, the thing is you want to make sure you put it in the right glass, because the Sazerac, even though it doesn't look like a lot of liquids, it's actually a very powerful drink. So you want to make sure you put it in the right glass so the guy doesn't think you're cheating him. So now, the exclamation point on the perfect cocktail. No biasm here. We're going to put the skin of the lemon facing down. We're going to give it a nice squeeze. Boom. Get those essential oils. Rub it around the rim. Give it a nice twist. Let's see if I'm really good at my twist. My peeler's a little off, and I'm also off, so that didn't work out together. And there you have it. The Sazerac. In the style that they would have had it back in the day. So I already know I'm going to love it. Oh, my allergies are acting up. I already know I'm going to love it, but let me show the camera that I love it. There's no better drink that smells so good. When you have the lemon and you have the absinthe all coming off of that nice aroma, I mean, I honestly order one of these and I just smell them all day. That's one of the best Sazeracs I've had in a while. That cognac's good, y'all. It's good, y'all. One of the best Sazeracs I've had in a long time. I've really enjoyed this cocktail, and my little lemon peel fell in there, but that's okay. That's how I like it. Oh, man, I love a Sazerac. You know, it is very spirit-forward. That's why you got to make sure you put the right ingredients. You got to make sure you have good cognac or good rye whiskey, because there's no hiding it in this thing. As you can see, I have just put bitters and sugar and a little bit of lemon. That's it. It's also very boozy, so don't drink 2 or 3 of them and drive. So delicious. Well, this whole month we're going to have a Sazerac month, and next episode we're going to do a rye whiskey one where I'm going to use an old E.H. Taylor rye whiskey. I saved it just enough for you at home to watch me make a rye Sazerac. I'm also going to do the simple syrup method, so that way you can kind of see both of them. But I got to go enjoy the Sazerac, and you got to go make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to always tip your bartender. Peace out, everyone.